you.
It's also a little nasty in Virginia when of course, the gubernatorial race there between Ralph Northam, the Democrat, and Ed Gillespie, the Republican. Now, according to the latest Quinnipiac poll, this actually was in October 12th through the 17th. Likely voters, Northam 53%, Gillespie 38%. Frankly, that's 15 points. I think that's kind of high, but we'll see. The issue for Northam is getting very strong support from women and people of color in Virginia. Other polls have the race a lot closer in the single digits. A Hampton University poll had Gillespie in the lead, but many call that an outlier as well. But it's gotten real nasty in this particular race here. Ads that have gotten nasty as well. So here's one of those ads.
Nothing is more important to me than keeping my children safe. That's why I can't vote for Ralph Northam. Northam supports the automatic restoration of rights for sex offenders, making it easier for these violent felons to get guns. Northam's policy led to a child sex offender having his rights restored, even after he had been arrested for child pornography. We can't risk Ralph Northam as governor.
I'm Ed Gillespie, candidate for governor, and I sponsor.
Now you have that. You also have them as talking about Ralph Northam supporting sanctuary cities, and that's bringing in MS-13. You have all of these race-based appeals. What's happening is Gillespie is doing very well in Southern Virginia. Okay, many call that the Alabama of Virginia. Then, of course, Northam is doing well in Northern Virginia, far more progressive. Let's go to our panel here. Lauren, this weekend, Gillespie went to the NAACP, and oh my God, it was as if it was a metamorphosis. He was talking about the school to prison pipeline, which you will not find anywhere on his website. I checked. He was talking about our HBCUs, correct?
Yeah.
You will not even find HBCUs anywhere on his website. So he came to black folks singing a whole different tune. You were there. Did anybody check him on his magical transformation?
No, Ed Gillespie is torn, you know, between being a moderate Republican, which I think he actually is, a country club Republican, and courting Trump voters. And so what that gets you is a very confused messaging strategy where you're saying one thing on the stump and then messaging ridiculous depravity like Ralph Northam is somehow related to supporting gangs, which is just so absurd and so ridiculous. And I think we're going to see on Election Day that the voters are going to figure that out pretty quickly. I mean, you know, the idea that you can have these two things in the same house is, of course, the bigger piece that the Republican Party writ large is dealing with. And unfortunately, it has come down in this campaign. And if he ran this race like McDonald ran against Cray Deeds, he'd be fine. A moderate Republican running for office, he would challenge, I think, the Democrat. But he's not doing that.
Here's what's interesting, Eugene. He is against providing voting rights to formerly incarcerated, okay? Which Governor McAuliffe made clear that is based, let me be clear, y'all, this is based on a state senator who in 1902 said point blank, this is to keep the darkies from voting. So in Virginia, they have been defending a law where at its root was there to keep the darkies from voting.
I'm not defending that. Yeah, I'm not defending that. I'm a member of 2020 Club for America. One of our things is restorative justice, especially when it comes in regards to voting rights. I believe, hey, more people voting is better, fight for the votes. You know, somewhere that's the point I disagree with Ed on. It's something I just can't defend. But to Lauren's point about Ed's engagement, well, track record of engagement with the black community. I mean, this is a guy that started his campaign at a essentially the foundation of his campaign was laid down at a black-run think tank. I mean, he's engaged all the HBCUs across the state of Virginia. He has an actual plan for growth for the HBCUs. He has an actual education plan for all of Virginians and not just folk in wealthy districts. I mean, the guy, he's actually talking about the school to prison pipeline, and Northam's not talking about that.
Why don't we see a commercial or a messaging strategy around what you just said. We don't. Because you can't appeal to Corey Stewart's voters and appeal to mainstream at the same time.
And black radio right now talking about those particular issues.
Oh, please. Okay, wait a minute. What ads on black radio? All right. And what are they talking about? What are they talking about?
Talking about criminal justice reform, talking about education reform, talking about actual opportunity for black families.
What he says on the stump and what he says in ads are two different things.
And this is for any candidate. You can't talk about educational reform. You can't talk about systemic changes in quality of life if you're not going to restore the rights to those who have served their time, because that impacts us, African Americans, right? So here's the thing: he is going to lose this race.
Well, I don't know. I'll put it this way: the polls, and I think me and Lauren can both concede this. The polls actually are very close. Very close, and you're seeing, the
last one wasn't.
Now hold on. So here's the deal here. You had Ed Gillespie, of course, to the NAACP. Oh my God, how horrible Charlottesville was. This is one of his ads about the statue.
Ralph Northam wants to take down Virginia's Civil War statues.
I will do everything that I can to remove the statues at the state level.
Ralph Northam would take our statues down. Ed Gillespie will keep them up.
I want to keep our statues up. Our history is our history, and we need to teach it, not erase it. They should stay up.
I'm Ed Gillespie, candidate for governor, and I sponsored this ad.
Would keep our statues. So if you're black in Virginia,
look, you're not gonna have me here defending the Confederate statues. And one more time, there are.
Hold on 1 second. No. So do you believe Ed Gillespie should be governor of Virginia?
I think there are. This is a complex race with a complex situation.
That's not my question. Do you believe that Ed Gillespie should be governor of Virginia?
When it comes to the policies of education reform, when it comes to the policy of economic development, when it comes to the policy of better HBCUs, I absolutely think Ed Gillespie should be governor of Virginia.
All that you just said, do you know what he's running on? This ad, MS-13.
So let me say this.
Go ahead.
As a 15-year branding professional, I'm going to tell you, he just pandered to his base. He literally just said,
you have white races.
Come on out and vote. And so here's the thing.
And this is his second statue ad.
And you can't tell me that this guy is concerned about African Americans when he's literally saying, I'm going to keep the door bolted shut on systemic disenfranchising of our race. That's what he's doing.
He's saying, I'm going to kick the door down.
How are you kicking the door down?
He said, I want to empower parents to actually choose the school they want to send their kids to. He's saying, we're going to actually make sure our HBCUs are well-funded.
I respect everything you're saying. But you're diverting from the
I'm not diverting. I'm talking about real issues that are affecting real-life families in Virginia right now.
When an individual comes out and
MS-13, listen.
How big of an MS-13 problem does Virginia have?
Northern Virginia has an
and how big is it?
Maryland also has an issue.
How big is it? We're at record lows in violence. We're at record lows in violence.
Let me ask you one question.
Come on, Eugene.
I'm asking you a question. When an individual serves their time successfully and they are released, do you believe that they should have the right to vote?
Absolutely. So my philosophy. Hold on. Listen, my philosophy is this. Even when you're serving your time, your right to free speech doesn't stop. Your other God-given rights, your God-given rights don't stop. Your right to vote shouldn't stop.
Eugene, the main course of his ads have been MS-13.
Eugene, I'm about to go to a break, but it's very simple. He is running ads saying our statues.
Right.
Our statues. Right. He has made, there is nothing. I checked. There is nothing on his website about HBCUs. Nothing. Not even mentioned. I went through his entire, no, Eugene, I went through his entire education. I also, there is nothing nothing on his website about school to prison pipeline. So he went to the NAACP and he pandered, and he did not bring up statute to the NAACP.
If this was the first time,
all I'm saying is,
we know for a fact this isn't the first time we've had that conversation.
Is making race-based appeals to become governor of Virginia, and black folks are not happy about it.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.